Hey wood finishers, welcome back. So talking about the importance of preparation between coats of whatever the finish is you're using. This particular finish is polyurethane. This is going to be my last coat of 3. And so what I've done, I'm taking 320 or 400 grit. 320 I would recommend between the first and second coat, and third and fourth coat you can go with the higher grit, but 400 is where I'm at. So anyway, just sanding this stuff off, going with the grain. I want to keep this as nice and flat. That's why I've got the sanding block here. There's not a whole lot to the sanding piece, and I've done most of this off camera, but what I'm looking for, yeah, good, is to make sure this thing is dead flat and looking fantastic, which it is. So now that I'm done with that, I want to get rid of most of, if not all of, whatever the sandpaper is left behind. But there's a better way than just brushing this off. A lot of people use compressed air and kind of blow this off, but it doesn't really atomize as well with just compressed air. So there's this stuff, tack cloths. Tack cloths are this cheesecloth material that has been impregnated with beeswax. So it's a soft wax, and it really grabs a hold of exactly what we have just created here. So I'm going to drag this across the surface here. The thing I want to be careful of is how much pressure I apply down. It's very easy to translate this wax and force it onto the surface, but just a very light amount of pressure all the way across. I'll go over it again with a cleaner spot of this rag, and then this goes back into a bag, and you can reuse this stuff over and over again. I'm really not sure why I'm so cheap with this stuff. I think these are still less than $1, but I've been using that one for years and years and years, and still doing its job. Alright, so I'm happy with this. Because I'm going to use polyurethane on this, I need to have a natural bristle brush, and I want to put it into the solvent of mineral spirits first, scraping off the excess. I guess I'm saying all this just because the final coat is really where everything comes together. Alright, I've also stirred the finish, not shaking, but stirring the polyurethane. So now I'll be able to apply that on here, and more so now than the last time, I always want to start in the center and kind of work this across. And I want to avoid having a heavy buildup. It'd be really tempting to re-dip this brush into the product, but thinner coats and more of them is so much better than one thick or heavy coat. So now I'm going to reapply just a touch, and then working my way from the center to the outside edges. I know I've said that before, but it's super critical now. I have a light off to my right, so I can kind of see areas here that are shiny and some that are dull. That looks pretty decent. Okay. Alright. If I had to finish the edges, I would be doing all that and then one more round of going back and forth everywhere. And that's kind of the deal. I have one little nasty spot here which you can't see. I'm going to get a hold of that, remove it, and then reapply or rebrush the stuff, leveling it out like the whole thing never happened. And the more work you do here to level this, then the less sanding you'll need to do at the end to flatten this. Alright, so that was in essence the tack cloth, but final sanding here. I will let this dry, and that's going to take probably for polyurethane between 5 and 7 days, and then I'll start doing the flattening and leveling the finish. But anyway, this is the process, and I'll show you the next steps in another video. Thanks.